Hey everyone, it's your girl Bri Undeniably, and you're tuned in to my new speaker series, Deep Conversations with Dope Individuals, where we discuss development, decision making, and dedicating our lives to our purpose. So today I am here with a super dope individual, someone who I'm also lucky enough to call a friend, and his name is Joshua Thompson. Josh, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Bri. I appreciate it.
So excited to have you. So I'm going to give you the introduction that you deserve. So Josh has a degree in psychology and sociology. He's a certified personal trainer, certified life coach, and the founder and creator of Realm of Success. Currently, he's working as a personal trainer at Lifetime Fitness and building the foundation for Realm of Success. Please join me in welcoming one more time my friend and a real dope individual, Joshua Thompson.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Yes. It's a lot of things I've been working on, but mainly Realm of Success is my biggest project, the biggest thing that I want to create. It's a developmental platform, like a personal development platform, for physical and mental. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that's really challenging me in many different ways. Once again, I want to thank you for having me on here, returning the favor. I had you on my podcast, Realm of Success, the podcast, and you were great. The people loved you. Your insight on different things and buying into the possibility of you was amazing. The people loved it, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that that you think of me as a dope individual.
Absolutely. No, seriously, I am so happy to have you here. And at this point, I think y'all might know that I will just talk and talk and talk. But I told Josh specifically, like, since he and I, which we can talk about how we know each other personally and how we developed our friendship. But I've been looking forward to this conversation because Josh really is a friend of mine, and the way that we kind of realize that we have so many similarities is super interesting too. But before I get into that, before we really jump into the conversation, the way that I really like to start all these when I bring on a new guest, what we say in the counseling community is we like to meet our clients where they're at. It's really just a way for me to ask you, tell me a little bit about your story. So help us meet you where you're at right now.
So where I'm at is definitely important, but I want to first start off and letting the people know where I came from.
Please.
A lot of things was tough for me growing up, being adopted from birth, not knowing my family and things like that, and going through a lot of different things in that, and building a lot of insecurities, building a lot of different, heartaches and headaches and things like that, trying to figure things out, trying to get answers to questions that nobody has, and then trying to answer them myself, and then, trying to navigate through life like that with no guidance, with no intention, getting in trouble, trying to just do whatever I can to get by and just trying to figure it out, and that's tough. Figuring it out as a young adolescent can be very tough. You can get peer pressured into many different things. You can you want the girls, you want the money, you want all of this stuff, but you never really know anybody's story. You don't know how they got that stuff. Some people could steal it. Some people's parents probably did things where they're well off, or some people just had to work harder than others and make more sacrifices. But because of the trials and tribulations and the things that I've went through, I wanted to create a platform that helps, individuals, through that process and, becoming successful through the highs, the lows, and the plateaus of success. And whatever they define as success, because we all define success as something differently. And, we get so caught up in the social media realm of things, and it gravitates to us because we like those shiny and fancy things. But, when we get them, who's to say that we're going to like those things? So now I started off during COVID, I started becoming a life coach because I feel like I want to help people navigate through life, help them through those tough times, because I looked up and I didn't have anybody there, and I had to really push through myself and really tell myself a lot of times, you're going to get through it. But I know it would be so much easier, and there's some mistakes I could have avoided if somebody was in my corner, So as well as that, and then I also wanted to, I started working out. We met at the gym.
That's the story. But, we can get a little bit more into it because you were the motivation at the gym, for sure.
Yes. So, but when we did meet, I was just front desk.
Yeah.
And then I really got into fitness, and I've seen how much it helped me mentally as well. And I feel like the mental battle it equates to the physical battle as well. They go hand in hand. If you put your body through so much things physically, it could really help you mentally. And if you really challenge yourself mentally, it can assist you physically. So I want to really hone in on those two things to help people get through life. And my two biggest things was life coaching and personal training. So right now I'm in the process of building up my personal training side of things and just my physical fitness and nutrition and things like that as well.
There is so much I want to touch on from what you just said, but I think just like bringing it full circle to the forefront, that like the two pieces that you're saying, kind of the mental and the physical, the life coaching as well as the personal training, like you had that vision, and now you're certified in both, and now you're kind of really working your way into molding them into one and developing that type of platform. So I think that is so awesome. I want to go, well, first, so let's, our story real quick, the Bri and Josh, which I think is so cool because you really never know someone's story.
Right.
And I was going to Lifetime Fitness for years in New York at Lifetime Sky. And so there were late nights, early mornings, anything. And Josh and I would see each other there. So like Josh said, he was working front desk. And so we kind of just built a relationship there. And then I know you kind of worked your way through Lifetime and different roles there, which was super cool. One, for me to watch you grow, but really not to even know who you were.
Right.
But we just always said hey to each other. And then it was like one day, every once in a while you'd come around, like if I was slacking off on the treadmill, which I would do a lot, you'd come around and pump me up or whatever. But for whatever reason, I think it was like kind of like a late night. We were both there one night, and you might have been working out after you were done at work.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into this conversation, and that was kind of, you started talking about wanting to build Realm of Success. And at that point, for me, there was no Bri, undeniably. It was very much in the same headspace. You were just saying like how you feel drawn to help people that to like become the best version of themselves or help them through different struggles in life. And I was coming from a very similar place that like I wanted to also help people, get to where I know that they could be. And, we just had this crazy conversation that night. And I think it lasted for quite a while. We might have been, who knows if we were taking up the machines or the benches or what.
We was definitely in front of the water fountain. So people probably were like, why are they just in front of the water fountain? Yeah. But it was definitely a long conversation, but it was one that really spoke to me at that time. I feel like around the time when I had the thought of Realm of Success and I was brainstorming about it and what I wanted to do with it, I was having so many conversations like that with people that at this point I've had on the podcast at this time. Yeah. And it was crazy because I'm like, wow, I'm connecting with these people. This is speaking to me. And it was just like, I was just like on cloud 9 every single time because it was like, wow, there's so many people who, resonate with the things that I'm talking about. And, it just kept pushing me forward. And I'm like, I have to do this. This is something that I have to do because there's people out there that I know that I can work with that are, trying to build their own thing, and we can collaborate. Because Realm of Success is not, even though I'm the one that's building it, even though I'm the one that's making it, it doesn't stand alone on just me. This is all with the people out there that are putting things together, that are building different things, people that are just trying to become successful. This is that realm that I want them to come to build whatever they want to build whatever level of success that they desire or that they want. I want this space to be that you can do this in this space. You can do this when you leave this space, and just to let them know that it's infinite. Success is infinite. There's no cap on it. Whatever you want, you can get it. Now, how that happens is up to you.
Right.
That's where things come into, and those are the variables that I explain on my podcast, that there's certain things that you have to go through. There's certain things that you have to do. And when we were speaking about that during that time, and we were talking, and you know, you worked with kids, and I was like, I want to work with adolescents and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, I used to see you all the time and say hi. I would have never thought that. I would have never thought it. You know, you never thought like what somebody's into and what they're doing. So now at this point, I don't even do any prejudgments anymore. I wait till I have a conversation to see. There's no prejudgment, because at this point in time, somebody will wow you, you know?
You really never know. Honest, it's so true. It's like people will surprise you. But I think one of the coolest things is that it's like you really like once you put out into the world what you're trying to do, kind of like what you were saying, it's like there's so many other people who are willing to jump in with you, offer the support, the advice, or say, hey, I'm trying to do the same thing. Again, like people who you probably never expect. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, I'm not trying to pump the power of like speak it to existence, though I think that there's power in that again, like the buy into the possibility of you. But there is something to sort of like putting yourself out into the world as you are, as you're working on who you are and what you're trying to do, and like something pretty amazing comes back at you for that. It's like you get support from the universe in some way, and from the people around you, that if you didn't, you know, if we didn't have that random conversation or whatever had sparked it, we would have never known, you know, we would have never made those discoveries about each other. So I mean, I love kind of where the direction has led us as well, because we both launched our podcast at the exact same time, and we've both kind of had our own, you know, times where we go full force, times where we kind of pump the brakes, and it's just been so cool because it was last December for both of us, December 2020, right? December 2020. Oh my gosh, the time just feels like so jumbled. But I think I made like a quick post, and I remember when I made that post, I was freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, I want to do this thing, but I'm freaking out about doing this thing. Like, I'm freaking out about, for whatever reason, putting it out into the world that I'm trying to start my own business and trying to start my own podcast. Like, one, there's no shame in that, but you feel it when you've never done it before.
Right.
And I had put out, like, it was like my very first post, and you commented right away. You're like, I'm doing the same thing. And it was just like, for me, it was like I took a breath. I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so cool. Like, you're doing this too. I don't feel alone kind of out here in no man's land.
In that starting process.
Yeah. And I think, and that is a scary place to be. And it's still something I try to think about, because I feel like that's a lot of what the podcast, for me, what Bri and I started as, was how do we get past that fear? How do we actually like move through the starting process? Because it seems to be one of the most difficult places for people to execute is the very, very beginning. But I digress. Here we are.
Yes, we're here, and that beginning part is tough. You know, I didn't know how to do any technical stuff. I didn't have nothing. So everything is YouTube. I asked you for what editing software were you using, or do you have any recommendations for mics and things like that as well? Because I was just going to do it from my house.
Right.
And I'm just trying to figure out the process. And I'm like, I have to do this. You know, I've already done everything else. I've already said I'm doing it. I've already made the posts and things like that as well. But I think also in that important starting phase is execution. You know, we have to learn how to execute properly, because we have all these ideas, and it's a roller coaster.
Right.
You know, it's a roller coaster. We have to find our sweet spot, our balance within the process of building something from ground zero.
Right.
You know, we have to find it, because there's going to be things we're going to encounter. There's going to be times where we're going to have to sacrifice going out with our friends, or times where we want to do something else that's, you know, not necessarily in correlation with our, you know, our journey, you know, but we got to put that aside and understand that this is something that we want. And during my journey of building this and building my brand, I've noticed that it is tough, and I want people to know that, and I'm going to be full and transparent with people on here and on my podcast as well, that it's not something that I was always consistent with, and now to this day, or persevered through. I've fallen into some depths of, procrastination. I've fallen into some depths of, not executing as much, but I'm taking what I'm going through and I'm learning. I'm taking on what is putting me there, what puts me to that point.
Right.
I'm not going to try to close myself off to it. I'm going to tell myself and challenge myself, but I'm also going to ask myself, like, where are you at?
Right.
You can be as passionate about something as much as you want, but I feel like passion is a feeling, that's going to be gone at some point. I don't care how much you like it. It's going to be gone at some point.
Right.
And at some point, discipline is going to kick in. How disciplined are you to continue through this? Because the passion is going to come back again. You're going to find something within that, project that you're doing that's going to be like, set that spark off again, and then you're going to go right again. Like I said, the journey is a roller coaster of building something. It's not always supposed to be happy times, because if it's always happy times, that's low-key boring. That's definitely low-key boring.
And I think everyone would, be jumping right in. Like, there's a reason that it makes us fearful.
Right.
Because we don't know what we're getting into. But we know what is on the other side of it. And we know on the other side, it's that fulfillment of what the journey will be. It's jumping in, it's jumping into this complete unknown place. And you're so spot on that it's like, passion is a beautiful thing. And we should all be able to find what the passion is, but we can't use passion as our only fuel source.
Correct.
Because that, exactly as you said, it dies down. I mean, and you can even think about it like in like a relationship, there's a honeymoon phase.
Yes.
And then when you get out of the honeymoon phase, then you start actually putting in the work in the relationship.
When that adversity starts setting in a relationship, that's what really tests that relationship. You're going to start, and you're gonna like this person because all they're presenting to you are their best attributes.
Yeah.
They're trying to convince you to get in a relationship. Yeah. I want to convince you to get in a relationship with me. So of course I'm gonna put all my best attributes ahead of me. I'm not gonna do anything like crazy or nothing like that, or red flags, as the thing that's going around right now. I'm not gonna show no red flags, but I feel like you should tell somebody, like, all right, just to let you know I'm a little like this. But after that honeymoon phase dies out, and let's say y'all run into, a communication problem. Now, how are you going to communicate? Two people coming from who lived two totally different lives are now trying to bring their perspectives together, and now it's like, what are we going to do here? That's that battle. Now it's that battle to figure out, now how are you going to figure it out? And that can equate to anything in life. In business, when you start the business, you have all this passion, that honeymoon phase of the business. You're telling everybody, I have this wonderful idea, and then and people are like, yeah, go for it. And then as soon as you put the idea out there, nobody supports you.
Yeah, it's or like those crickets.
You get like 10 people.
Yeah.
Your family, maybe like your friend, and then you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You're looking for that instant gratification, but that's not how it works. Life has this weird way of doing this thing of sifting out the fake people who say they want to do something, but they're really not into it.
Yeah.
They don't have that discipline to fight through the highs, the lows, and the plateaus, because that's always going to come. No matter what you go, you're going to have your high times, you're going to have your low times, and you're going to have times where just nothing happens.
Yeah, spot on.
But what are you going to do? That's where that all comes into play.
And it's almost like I love that you say the highs, the lows, and the plateaus, because that's where we actually, we use these tools. Like if we're at a high, we can probably run off passion when we're at the high, because when you're at a good place, you're probably going to be feeling that passion somewhere.
Right.
But then when you're at that low, that's probably when the discipline's going to come in, because I can imagine being at that low, the passion is probably pretty low too. There's a reason why you're there. Same with the plateau. It's like, okay, again, how do you, maybe it's habit formation, maybe it's discipline, maybe it's some other driving factor, but it all comes down to sort of these tools that we have to learn along the way to keep us moving forward. Because again, like back to the relationship example, which I've never actually compared starting a business to being in a relationship, but it's making so much sense in this conversation right now because most of us listening, I can imagine 99% of us, have been in a relationship or a serious enough relationship where you can kind of understand these phases. But again, when you fall out of the honeymoon phase, you still want to be with the other person, but there's no longer this like everyday excitement that enhances that want. You have to find the other things that make the other person worth working for, that make the relationship worth working for. And that's hard work. That's putting in the work daily with that person and with yourself to move it forward.
All the time. And never getting comfortable.
Getting comfortable.
I tend to think, and once again, back to the comparing the business and comparing a relationship. Like, I look at it as the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I seen a post on Instagram not too long ago that said, like, when it comes to a relationship, we got to first understand that, and just like with business, everything that I'm saying with a relationship can equate to a business as well. That business is not, those people that are coming to support your business don't have to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your product that they might have can be valuable to them, but they don't have to be there. They can definitely get that from someone else. Just like in a relationship, that person does not have to be there. Even if you've been with that person for 5 to 10 years, that person does not have to be with you no matter what. They can legitimately get up and leave. That's all dependent on their morals, but they can get up one day and say, I'm out.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
People can stop coming and shopping at your store or whatever you do or supporting you just like that.
Yeah.
But it's those people who constantly, continue to want to grow. Those businesses that continue to see like, okay, I see that, for example, Blockbuster and how, Netflix put them out of business.
Right.
They didn't take on trying to, evolve and adapt to the climate and the things that were coming about,
right.
So now they're in the past now. Netflix is the present and now it's looking like the future right now. Mm-hmm. Just like in a relationship. You get to this point, and everybody enjoyed Blockbuster at one time or another.
But I used to love it.
but something better has come along or has shown us it's more convenient. It's, it's just, and they're going to keep going. No matter what they see, they're going to try to figure out, okay, if this had just came up, I got to, just like in a relationship, you get to this point and you're like, okay, we've been doing this for so long. How else are we going to continue to challenge each other and help each other to grow?
Right.
If you're planning to be in a long-term relationship, a long-term business, you have to continue to keep finding ways to grow and to challenge your partner to not make them stay within the same box that they're in.
Right.
Push them out of their comfort zone. You'll reach this point. All right, we've reached this point. Boom, time to take it to another level. There's so many, the levels are infinite.
Right.
Just things that you can do. Just different things that you can do. But when you just box yourself in, and at some point, one or the other is going to be like, all right, this is a little bit, getting too comfortable.
Right.
It's going to happen to somebody. And there's other variables that play a part into it and other things, due to other things that we go through as humans, our ego and things like that we put in and, and stuff like that. So you can't count those things out, but those are other factors. But I feel like straightforward, it's just, continue to challenge your partner, continue trying to grow within your business, continue trying to grow, continue to find new things. There's always new what's the word I'm looking for? New
developments or
new things out in the world, like new things that people want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to stay hooked to those things.
Right.
If you don't, you're just going to fall behind.
Right.
You got to stay on top of those things.
I feel like you're hitting on something that's so important, and that is really, what is happening in the day-to-day of developing something that is yours and developing something that you really want to sustain. Like you can set your monthly goals or yearly goals, or really, often what it starts with is like this long-term vision. You have this vision for something that you want to build or create, and it's there, and it's like the shiny object that you finally have clarity to be able to see, but then it's like, what is it actually going to take to get there?
That middle part is crazy. From the beginning to the sort of kind of what you would say is the end, but it's never really the end.
Right.
But that point from what you want to when you begin is, and everything in the middle of that is just like fuzzy, like when I close my eyes, like fuzzy white and black, like the TV when you're not on the proper channel or something. Like It's just that. The middle, that's what the middle is. And it's like you legitimately just have to have faith through the process that whatever you're doing is going to work. And it's so hard. Like, I don't know, for me, it's just very hard. Like, just to have that unwavering faith and not listen to no doubts, because like you have the doubts of others,
right,
but then you also have the doubts of yourself that at times hit you like, is this really that good? And sometimes we're like our biggest critics.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and that middle part, and you're trying to figure out which point is going to get you from A to Z in the best way possible. And I think also I'm an overanalyzer of that. And that hinders me sometimes to take steps forward, because I'm like, maybe this is not the best part. And then I'm like, no. But even me, I have to tell myself, like, just step.
Yeah.
You know, just continue to do whatever feels right. You know, that's why I try to tell myself, like, even being here today just gives me that stuff. This is areas, this is environments that I want to be in. This is conversations I want to have, because it now makes it more clear to me, like, you need to get going. Like, this is what you love to do.
Yeah.
This is your element. You know, the past few months from April for me as well, and a little bit on, like I was doing some podcasts around it, but just about there, I fell into this funk a little bit where life got the best of me. Looking into moving out, you know, I feel like I've reached that age, like I'm all right, it's time for me to go. You know,
You're
it's
ready.
definitely time for me to go, but that requires money. New York City is very expensive.
Oh my gosh,
So-
we all know.
So I'm
Jeez.
trying to figure out that, and then I was doing Lifetime. Just became a personal trainer, trying to build that up. Being there in the morning, at night, you know, nothing was never really consistent for me in times that I was being there, because I was taking the morning clients, evening, night, whatever I could get at the moment, and then turned around and got another job on the weekend. So I was working 7 days a week. So I was doing training Monday through Friday, and then I was serving Friday through Sunday at Carmine's. So
I love Carmine.
so
I didn't know that.
I was doing that for probably about a couple months, and then I just stopped myself, like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're falling into this process that you told yourself you didn't want to fall into. You know, you're falling into this process of now chasing money. And not,
we got to talk more about this.
you
Keep
know,
going.
you're chasing money and disrespecting your time. And you're not even taking time for yourself. You're not reading anymore. You're not journaling. You're not educating yourself in any way, shape, or form. You're legitimately waking up, going to your first job, coming home, going to sleep. Next, boom, 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 boom. And it was just felt like I was in this black hole, or I just was falling. And I was like, you need to stop. You need to start taking these things away. And one thing that really, really like woke me up is when somebody said, you know, you are, what did they say again? It was something about like not respecting my time. And it will come back to me in a little
That's
while.
fine.
And when it comes back to me, I'll say it. But they told me that. When they told me, I'm like, wow, you're right. I don't. You know, I have no respect for myself, because I'm trying to do all of these other things. I'm in front of other people, and I'm not taking no time for myself. And I'm like, you know what? Heard.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, you're
okay.
good. Yeah.
You are just hitting a pressure point that I know nearly everyone, if they're not feeling it in the moment, they have felt it before. So if they haven't taken the leap out of, that money struggle, that, kind of like feeling like you're motivated by this money, but doing it in exchange for your time instead of in exchange for your mind. And I think that is something that so many of us, I mean, if you think about it, it's like what we're conditioned in school. And I am a huge proponent of education, public education, but we definitely have a lot of growth in education to do because we are so often conditioned into that way. Well, you go to school, and then if you seek higher education, that's fine. But then after that, you get a job, and then you work that job for the next several decades.
For the yeah, it's
you know,
blasphemy.
And it's not that, and you know, I think that there are so many jobs that can evoke passion and purpose, and so many jobs in this world that we need, but it's not all jobs. And I think that because we kind of get conditioned into that model to then, you know, go find a job, and then we see that job produces money back to us, and that is able to support us, like that's giving us what we need now. How do you break that cycle? Because when you break that cycle, you're taking away the money that you need right now. But it's such a tug of war, and like I can so relate to you in so many ways, but definitely, you know, not respecting my own time. And I bartended. I think most people know, well, my family and friends definitely know, and close followers know that I bartended for 10 years, bartended my way through school. But that industry money, you're not finding that instant industry money, especially bartending in New York City. Like that's not coming into anyone's pockets,
Right.
You know, unless you are deep into the stock market and you've really figured that out, which is going to take a lot of time first.
Right.
You know, so it's like everything that you're saying, like I said, it's such a pressure point for so many people, because I think it's a place that we have all been in or might still be in some way. And I just really appreciate your transparency in talking about it, because I know how difficult that is. Like, I know how difficult that is. I understand that.
It's very difficult, and it just came to my mind as you were speaking, because you touched on it. But it's like I wasn't setting any boundaries for myself.
Okay, interesting.
So I would get up, I would be at Lifetime from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 p.m. You know, go home, and from my commute home is probably about an hour 15. You know, so I get home, and then I'd finally be able to do stuff. Then I'm sleeping probably about like 1. You know, that's a boundary within itself. 1, I got to leave work when I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I got to create a schedule.
Right.
Leave work when I'm done. Do what I have to do. Leave. This is my cutoff time. I have to get out of here. Then get home. I have a bedtime. I used to hate bedtime when I was a child. It's crazy when my parents used to say, it's bedtime. And I'm, come on. But I legitimately have to look into setting myself a bedtime and saying, you have, so that you can be optimal, you can be awake, and you can be who you are. Because when you don't get enough sleep, you're not yourself.
Right.
And I'm a very energetic person off the back when I'm at work. So I need that energy. And I know when I'm not that, people are like, so what's going on with Joshua today? You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm just needing a little bit of sleep, you know, and
Right.
it's began to like really set in on me, you know, just even when I was doing the 2 jobs, you know, it was like, I legitimately had no time for myself. I legitimately just was a moving zombie. That's what I felt like a zombie. I was getting money.
Right.
Yeah, but it was like, I didn't like it. It wasn't something I really enjoyed. So I had to take that time out. And like you said, we have to figure out some sort of kind of way where we can step away from that and still be able to prosper.
Right.
And I think that starts early on. You know, a lot of times we're born into situations that we have no control over.
Right.
And sometimes that can have a reason to be, you know, some of us are not as fortunate as others. You know, some parents will help their kids all the way through college, pay for their tuition, and be like, all right, you got this waiting for you when you get out, car, whatever. You know, some people have to work their asses off legitimately to get what they need. They might have a little bit more discipline early based off of their experiences. And then there's some people who, you know, like me, was trying to navigate through life. When they got a little bit of money, spent it, you know, every time. And when they got a job, spent it,
Yep.
you know, terrible with money. Terrible, just, just I was serving. So, that serving money is that fast money. So as soon as you get it, you spend it,
That was the industry joke. You work to support the habit.
Right.
Like we're serving all the drinks and then we all go out for drinks afterwards with the money we just made.
Yes, just giving in.
This is why we're still here.
Right. This is why, just in that infinite loop, and then you want to step out. And then when you step out, you have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I feel like that's when sacrifice and discipline really has to set in, and then you have to begin to build new habits, and it's going to be very, very, and I put an emphasis on very uncomfortable. That process and the process I'm going through now is just very uncomfortable because you want to go out with friends, you don't want to miss a moment, and you got to understand that the moment is in what you're doing right now, because that's going to create many moments. But then you have to really keep continuously telling yourself that on a continuous basis, and even sometimes you got to do it alone. And that's what maybe something I'm battling with. I hate that I have to do everything alone. With no one in the corner. Like I know I have people that out there that support me, want to listen to the podcast, but somebody that like more so on an intimate level supports what I'm doing and knows when I'm slacking, like, hey, you're slacking. Like, like pick it up. I like they also see the vision. And a lot of times maybe that's, you have to continue to go alone till that person comes along. But for me, I felt alone for a long period of time in my life. So it's like, and we've had this conversation.
Mm-hmm. We sure have.
Had this conversation. We have. That want for that. And sometimes I feel like that hinders me as well because I don't want to indulge in that too much. There's a balance. I want to have that balance where they're also, or whoever I'm around is also working on something as well. Like, and we can just feed off of each other and then off each other's ideas and stuff like that. So, but I feel like my want for that, like I said, sometimes hinders me as well. Yeah. But it's an ongoing battle. It's an ongoing journey. One thing, like I'll take breaks, but there will never be a time that I will ever give up. I will take moments to just reset. I'll take as many resets as I need. Yes, will that prolong the process? Yes. But if it can set me in a better position to go out into this journey and, build this, montage of greatness, I will definitely continue to take breaks and just really hone in on what I need to do, things that I need to do, and how I need to do it. Because like I said, that middle area from the start to the end is just fuzzy, like it's just fuzzy, and you never really know. You walk through a door, and it might be the answer, but you just got to be like, all right, whatever. This is just what I'm going with. If it doesn't work, all right, it doesn't work. Deal with whatever you have to deal with at that moment. Don't take it all along with you. Only take on the lessons that you learn. Step back out. All right, time to go to the next door, And don't second guess it a lot. Of course, be strategic. Don't just be doing anything, But don't just go out there doing anything, Be a little strategic, and and that's a thing within itself. But it's a process. It's a process, and I know this is like so cliche and trust the process, but legitimately, even like I tell my clients, you have to trust the process. It's a process within itself, and it's not a straight along process. We're in this world of Instagram and stuff like that. Everybody's battling, like social media has created its own mental like problems,
Yeah.
So now we're seeing this stuff and we want that. Like I'll be on Instagram scrolling like, dang, I want that, and then it's like, dang, what do I got to do to get that? But you never really know. And at the moment, we don't think so deeply about the fact that this person could have sweat blood, sweat, and tears before to get what they have today.
Right.
And whatever they did to get where they at is none of our business. We are no higher power to judge how they got there. Whatever they did to get there is whatever they did to get there. But they did something. Some people are born in things and they might be battling their own stuff. I'm never the one to judge. Like, yeah, somebody could be handed something, that you can come from a wealthy family, but you might desire other things,
For sure.
That person might not desire all of this money. They might like it. Yeah, you see them enjoying it. Of course, money's in front of you. They're going to enjoy the money. But what if they desire like a friend where they can enjoy that money with? You don't know that. What if they desire like being closer to their parents? They're having battles that we don't know about. So you can't say, oh, they got money. It's not just about what you physically have. It's like, how is this person internally?
Right.
You know?
And it's so true. I mean, you're hitting on so many things. I wish I could cover them all, but like the ugliness of everything in the middle, that fuzzy, ugly looking space that none of us know how to deal with, sort of like this failing forward. And then the trusting the process. And it's so funny, you touch on it and you say you do it with your clients, but it's so true. Like, we can use how we can develop our physical bodies. It is one of the best ways for us to visualize how a process actually works within ourselves, because we can see the results physically. And it's really exactly what you're touching on right now too, how we might be judging ourselves against someone that we see on Instagram, or like comparing and wanting what they have, or wanting to get to that place. And again, they might have everything in the world, but if they're feeling empty on the inside, that's not going to show on the outside. So it's just so interesting that it feels like, all encompassing. We have to be able to sort of like trust this unknown space in ourselves, and trust that like there is growth happening even though we can't see it. And also definitely by any circumstances, stop judging yourself against everything that you're seeing elsewhere.
Right.
That is like one of those things that we just in with social media and with the instant gratification that we get with all of these things, it's so incredibly difficult. And, I can say that personally. I think that everyone listening can agree with that. We are talking about it, but like, their process is not your process.
Right.
Ever. It never will be. And if you're concentrated on their process, who's concentrated on yours?
Right.
These
are facts. The process is crazy, and everybody goes through it. Mm-hmm. Like I touch on a lot on my podcast, and like I touch on a lot with the segment that I'm currently in. It's just the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Everybody at some point is going to go through some sort of kind of thing, some sort of kind of non-negotiable when it comes to success. You're going to fail at some point. You're going to need to practice and implement perseverance at some point, patience at some point, consistency at some point, discipline at some point, and I can go on. There's like about a couple more, but I sat down and just thought about these things, execution at some point. Some things last longer than others. Some things are interchangeable, but you have to implement these things in your process at some point. And how you do that is up to you. Mm-hmm. Everybody is different. When that moment is thrown at you, is also up to you. Well, no, not up to you. When it's thrown at you, it's not up to you. How you handle it is up to you. Because life will just throw everything in the kitchen sink at you when you have all these great ideas, and it's like, why is this happening to me? Mm-hmm. You have all these questions like, wait, what? I thought this was for me. Like, it is, and it can be, but it's just life just challenging you then to see if you really want to do what you say you want to do.
Right.
And these are those non-negotiables of the process, of success, of anything. No matter what you do, I can say that in everything that you do, starting a new business, like we spoke on, being in a relationship, going to school or whatever, there's so many things you're going to have to practice when it comes to these non-negotiables that I've mentioned so far. Mm-hmm. And we just, being that we all perceive things differently based off of, the way we were raised, our environments, the things that we cling to, the stuff that we go through, the way that we experience things, it begins to shape us throughout our lives. So, perspective and our perception of things change over time, but everybody's is different. The way you view something, it can be the way that I can view it differently than you do, And it could be the same thing. It could be the same things going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to a restaurant and be like, oh, that was the best time ever. And then the time that you go, well, I don't know. Sorry.
Yes.
The time, we can both go to the same restaurant different times.
Right,
you
right,
can
right.
go the first time and it's amazing. They just had a clean sweep. The health inspector just came. That's when you went.
Yeah.
You know, you had an amazing time. They made sure everything was on point. Well, you know, in the restaurant industry, after the health inspector, not too much after, you know, they get a little bit lackadaisical on their consistency. So I can go around that time where, you know, it's just not that good. And I'm going to be like, that place is trash.
Also, shout out to all the industry people, because there is no stress like the health inspectors coming type stress.
Yes, definitely, 100%. I'll put this back. Put labels on this.
Throw everything in the trash.
We never put labels on this ever since I've been here, and I've been here for 2 years.
Oh my gosh! But yes, go. Sorry, I just had to.
No, definitely. They
shameless
need
plug.
Definitely the service industry, they need it.
Oh, that's
the
next level
hospitality.
stress.
Yeah, next level.
Next level stress.
Next level, because we know.
We know, but yeah, what you're saying, I mean, it's spot on. Like our perspectives, our the situations that we find ourselves in, we could be placed in the exact same scenario, but then come out with two totally different perspectives, have two totally different perceptions on what actually just happened, based on, you know, the circumstances that surrounded it and the circumstances that surround us, honestly.
Right. So that's just throughout life, you know. Now when you're building a business, and even as a small business, you know, you're building a small business, you really have to, of course, be yourself, but you have so many people. You got to keep in mind that you have a certain target market, but within all of those people, they still perceive things differently. So you still have to make sure you're, you know, connecting with them and stuff like that. You're building a business and you're stuff like that. There's so many different groups of people that you're going to have to connect to at times, you know? You don't want to get canceled.
Right. No one wants that.
You don't want to get canceled.
Yeah.
You know?
And that happens real quick.
Right.
Nowadays.
You don't want to get canceled by the culture.
That happens real quick.
So, but always be unapologetically there. Sorry. Unapologetically. Yeah. Oh, wow. Terrible.
That's
Terrible.
unapologetically.
Yes,
No, that's
unapologetically.
Everyone try to say that 5 times fast, because oh my gosh.
Yes, but always be that yourself.
Yes.
You know.
1,000%. I mean, I think what is so cool about every discussion that we have is that we both know that we've got these big, bold dreams for what we want our lives and our careers to look like within those lives. But no matter what we talk about, and we are both building day in and day out on what we want to build, but it always comes back to us. It always comes back to like how we are working through it personally, what we are doing to build ourselves, because like we are the building blocks of the businesses that we're building.
Amen.
And I think that's so cool, because I think that's something that from day one you and I have really connected on, is that self-development piece. When I came on your pod, we talked about self-awareness.
Yes.
So, and you know, it's something so interesting, because I feel like when people think like they want to dive headfirst into like something entrepreneurial, they are, you know, go into the business. And I know I've been pretty transparent about this, because we both talked about how we've had starts and stops in our podcast and are, you know, trying to work through business things. And the very, you know, my kind of first go at doing something for myself, I went full force so fast, trying to learn all these businessy things.
Right.
One, my gosh, do I have a lot of learning to do still and forevermore, and I'm okay with that. I like being a lifelong learner. But it's like I dove into the deep end, into like trying to drive home this business, and the rest of me got lost in the sauce.
That's just lost. Like, wait. where am I?
That was honestly it. And it's just, and so that was kind of for me that first wall that I really hit. And, I'm letting you all know now I plan on hitting more walls actually, because that is where my biggest growth points are. So when I'll just let you all know as it happens now, because I'm always trying to bring that transparency. But that was really the first wall. When I tell you I hit it so hard and fast, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Now what? Now
what now?
What?
It hits you like you're out there. Like start swimming. Like I'm gonna just go boom, boom, boom. You out there like start running. You running as fast as you can. And then like you said, that wall hits you like bow. Like where you going?
Exactly. Yeah. Like
slow yourself down.
Yeah.
and it's like it's needed.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed to make sure. I think it's a reminder to remind you, one, make sure you're moving intentionally and knowing where you're going. Make sure you know where you're at. So you need to know where you're at so you know where you're going.
Right.
That's what I personally believe. And like you said, just you got to know yourself.
Gotta know yourself.
You have to be honest with yourself, and we spoke about that, on, when we spoke on my podcast about just being self-aware, what you're able to deal with, what you're not able to deal with, what you need help in, where's your area of growth, because none of us, and I mean none of us, are perfect. None of us. I will sit here and say that I am not a perfect individual. I don't want nobody to think I'm ever perfect, at all.
And we will proudly never be perfect.
Right, proudly. I will proudly raise up my non-perfect hand. I will definitely do that. I know there's things that I battle with based off of the way that I was raised. I'm trying to, not necessarily fix those things, but come to terms with those things and work with those things. But I feel like my experiences that I've been through and the things that I deal with on a day-to-day basis makes me who I am. I will never be a perfect individual. I just know I will always progress as being the best human being that I can possibly be on a day-to-day basis. I'm taking it one day at a time, and that's all I can do. Because next Monday, I don't know where I'm gonna feel. So I got to make sure when that Monday comes, I check myself in, and I'm ready to go,
I actually love that. Like, you check yourself in. That's actually, like, if we're not all checking ourselves in every day, like, we got to punch our own time cards. If we're doing this, like, we got to check ourselves in, take a look, like, take inventory of what the heck's happening inside of us and figure out how to move from there, because every day is seriously going to be different. Every day.
Every day. And I don't want to fall, and I definitely don't. Of course, I want to have like a same routine. I want to be very routine, but I don't want everything to look like black and white and things like that as well. I always want to have something new to conquer, something new, even if it's little, something it doesn't have to be nothing big and bodacious, just something very minor, just something new that can just keep me going, just check on myself, because we all have things that, like I said, that we battle with. Right. So something could have messed with me yesterday, and if I try to ignore it, it's going to just drag on. It might sit in my unconscious, and at some point, and then when something ticks it off, it'll come to my conscience, and then boom, I'm reacting in a way, and I'm like, wait, why did I react like that? Well, because you didn't deal with what happened last week.
Right. Oh, and it gets ugly when when it sits in there, when it sits inside of you for a while.
I want to make sure I check in with myself and be like, all right, this happened. How you feel? We need to do that to ourselves, and with, probably in our friends, our close friends and people that we trust, we need to do that to them. How you feeling today? Anything crazy happened? Like, how, I check on some of my people, like, how you feeling? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, no, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. How's your, how you feeling? That's what I want to know, because if nobody's doing it for you, or even if you don't want to tell me asking you, you're like, oh, how am I feeling? It's going to bring it up in your head. Like, now it's going to, like, you're going to be, if this is something you've never done before, you're going to want to start asking yourself, how am I? Like, that's an interesting question. How am I feeling? And then sometimes we don't ever even ask ourselves. Some people, like I said, they're always on go, 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 go. And some people have to be, sadly, because of their circumstances. Yeah. But, at some point in time, sometimes you just have to stop. And it might be a sacrifice. You might lose out on some things, but you just have to stop. And something that really actually taught me that, surprisingly, is the series, Squid Games.
Wait a second, hold on. I have an episode and a half left, and I plan on watching it after this.
Nah, I'm not gonna spoil you.
Okay,
but
yeah.
This is the basis of it, but I feel like all those people continued to put themselves in debt, thinking what they were gonna do is gonna get them out of debt, instead of just stopping everything that they're doing, taking the time and checking in with themselves,
Yep.
seeing where they're at, and what they need to honestly do to get into a better position, to fix the position that they're in. Like the main character guy, just not on a good not on a good thing with not a good relationship with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the one time where he had enough money to go buy his daughter a gift, but he was spending all that money on the machine to win a surprise gift that was a gun. A lighter gun. Come on. Like, you could have took that money and went and bought a way better gift with all that money you were spending.
I know.
You know? So just taking the time to be like, wow, taking a step back. And none of those people, they would just go. They would just, they fell into it.
Yeah.
You know? And other people can take advantage of that. You know?
And I think something that you're like nailing right now is that, like, you know, like our circumstances don't have to define us. However, we often allow them to. And that's really the checking in with yourself and kind of checking in on yourself. Like, just because of the circumstance you're in does not mean that is who you are or that is where you'll always be. Because we've all been in tough circumstances, and a lot of those circumstances we have no control over or we can't get out of, at least not right now.
Right.
But we have to understand, and that's really that check in place. It's like this, just because you don't like where you're at does not mean you should not like who you are.
Right.
And we need to be able to separate those selves so that we can come together with them every day. Because if the circumstance is fixed, then you've got to find a way to keep moving forward with it.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And it's just crazy because a lot of times these circumstances, we get so lost in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the circumstances of whatever situation somebody might be in. You know, say you end up in a space where you just have like 2 kids and you're working hard and stuff like that, but you really never, you know, did your dream. You never really got the chance to live out your dream and stuff like that. You're not a failure, you know. You can take where you're at and make the best out of it and be very intentional. Don't dawn on where you're at right now. You have 2 beautiful children who now have 2 bright futures who you can now raise up, and then within that, visit little by little what you really wanted to do. Implement that, you know. It's not something that you have to give up entirely on. You know, yes, your kids are your first priority. You have now brought 2 people into this world that, you know, their futures depend on the way that you currently raise them right now. You know, and that's the most important thing. To me, the next generation is the most important thing in this world, you know, and it's our job to put them in a better position than we were. Right. You know, I've always heard that. I want to make sure that's, you know, I seen a post that said, let's pass on more blessings and less trauma.
I love that. Oh, I love it so much. It's so powerful.
And it's like, I hear people's stories and they tell me and stuff, and a lot of things, sadly, are connected to what parents have passed down onto us, and we have to deal with it. You know, I want to be able to have my kids in the best position possible for them to succeed. I don't want them worrying about, oh, I got money that they need to pay and stuff like that, or they have stuff that they need to do and stuff like that, like because of me, because I left that on the table. No, I don't want to do that. That I lived, if at whatever age I have kids, let's just say I had it at 30. I had about a good 10 to 15 years to get my life together, you know, and to not be in it. What exactly did I do if I had kids at 30 and I have nothing to show for it? Right. And I'm scraping. I'm like, you know, like I said, everybody has different circumstances, but that's the way I view it for me, you know? So.
Yeah, and so powerful. I feel like I hate the fact that we have to wrap it up in a couple minutes because we are touching into something that I feel like you and I could go down the rabbit hole, and I know that we would.
Yeah.
And it just seems like we'll have to have another episode to continue the conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so in the last couple of minutes, I have two things. The first one is you're going to be the very first. I've come up with 3 questions that just make sense to end the episode with because at the very beginning I said we're talking about development, decision making, and dedicating ourselves to our purpose. So I'm going to give you 3 rapid fire questions, and then we're going to end with your famous last words, and then we're going to cut it off. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The first one's on development. Currently, are you working more on personal development or professional development?
Personal.
Personal. All right. That's what's going on with you, so that's an easy one. This next one you might need to. I want to hear just like your instant answer, but decision making. Do you decide based more on choice or guiding voice? So are you actively making decisions, or do you feel like either intuition or spirituality or something else pulls you towards making decisions? Choice or guiding voice?
Guiding voice.
All right. See, this one, as I get more into it, I'm really interested to see what people are going to respond to. The last one, dedicating yourself to your purpose. Was that a singular moment in time for you, or is that a daily occurrence that you continue to dedicate yourself to?
Continuous.
Continuous. Awesome. I just, and none of these answers, you can answer however you want. So I love to hear yours. Thank you for sharing. Famous last words. We've got about 30 seconds. If you can leave our listeners with anything at all, what would it be, Josh?
I just want to tell you to just continue on your journey. Never give up. Mm-hmm. Never, ever give up. And it might sound cliche. It might be hard for you at this moment, but I promise you what's on the other side of perseverance, consistency, and discipline is amazing. Will it always be amazing? No. But it will get amazing once again. It's a process. It's a journey. Continue on it. Go after everything and anything that you want because it's out there and the opportunities are infinite.
Josh, thank you so much. And finally, let everyone know where they can find you.
I will be on Realm of Success, the podcast, which will be starting back up in December.
Yes.
First episode is going to be the first Monday in December, as well as The Chosen Leader on Instagram and Realm of Success _ on Instagram as well. Realm of Success on TikTok. We're on it all. Facebook as well. Realm of Success will be there. Realm of Success as well on YouTube.
Amazing. And I'll make sure to tag him in everything that I post and with this podcast. Joshua Thompson, everyone. Thank you so much, Josh. It's been such a pleasure. Everyone, I am Bri Undeniably. And until next time, let this be the moment. Have a good day.
Thank you.